Thanks, Shauna. Paul, welcome back to Verge.
It's great to be back and to see the amazing progress that's being made in the world, but also being expressed through Verge.
Well, we're talking about regeneration, Paul's just newest book. Let's start, Paul, with the title, Regeneration. What does that mean in the context of what we've been talking about this week?
Yeah, I mean, it means many things, which is why it's a good word. Regeneration, I define it as putting life at the center of every act and decision. And the reason I think it's a good word for us is because it's a word that's innate to being a human being. It's not external and added like jargon or a phrase or some new neologism. It's actually what we do every day. All 30 trillion cells in our body are regenerating every nanosecond, or we wouldn't be having this conversation. So it's innate to being us, but we take care of ourselves, our children, the people we love, we're doing this every single day. It's like I say, it's innate to being a human being. It's innate to life itself. It's what life does. It's the default mode of life. So to me, regeneration is not about sort of saying this is a better word so much, is opening and expanding the sense of possibility, enlarging what it means for human beings and companies and NGOs and to come together, basically, and solve the climate crisis.
And it's much more expansive and empowering than sustainability, for example.
Yeah, I mean, you and I used the word for years because it was parlance of the time, but, you couldn't really define it. It was like Zeno's paradox. Well, what is that magic point when you achieve it, and then what? Whereas regeneration is something that happens all the time, and it's something we should do as a culture, as a civilization, forever, not just now.
So where does this book pick up where your last book, Drawdown, left off?
Well, Drawdown started because of the third assessment that came out in 2001, and I went around asking people, do we have a list of the solutions that are extant, and if we scaled them, what would happen? And I also wanted to name the goal at that time, which is to actually, put it this way, tackling, fighting, combating, mitigating, those aren't goals, those are verbs. I'm an English major. You need a noun. And drawdown is that first time on a year-to-year basis where greenhouse gases peak and go down. And so I said, well, that's the goal, to reverse global warming, but how do we achieve it? And so for years I went around asking institutions, NGOs, to basically map, measure, and model it. And finally, even though they said it was a good idea, I set us out to do it myself. And with Amanda Ravenhill and Chad Fishman and Crystal Chazelle, like the four of us started Project Drawdown. And we didn't know how to do it either, by the way. But we gathered scholars and advisors and students, all over the world, to help us and work together and so forth. However, what it was what could be done. Okay, regeneration is how to do it. Mm. And actually, if you want to do degraded land restoration, for example, I'll just take one solution out of many, go find out how to do it on the internet. Good luck. Yeah. You can't. And so when we did Drawdown, it was because that understanding of the solutions, that the expanse and the breadth of it did not exist with metrics and analysis and we're doing how to because that does not exist. And so that's what regeneration is about.
What I love about this book is the encyclopedic nature of it, and it really felt reading it like as a kid, I used to read an encyclopedia, which sometimes you'd look something up, but often you just open it up and say, okay, bioregions, and you'd read about something that maybe you knew a little bit about, maybe you didn't know anything about, but here was sort of the definitive aspect of this. I really love that part of it. My question, Paul, is it feels sort of, it feels like this is written for a concerned public, of which there probably aren't enough of us. How do we make all of these solutions, from seaforestation to local relocalization of commerce to net zero cities, how do we bring that to a much broader audience?
It's really a great question, and you're right about the book. It is for a more literate, informed audience, no question about it. I see the book as a neurotransmitter. Okay, number one. The last 8 pages is called Action and Connection. That is a wormhole. I'm going to mixing my metaphors here. It's a wormhole to the website. The website then contains Nexus. Nexus is the most complete listing and network in the world of climate solutions and how to do them by all levels of agency, by who are the influencers that aren't helping us, who are the ones that are helping, what are the great NGOs and institutions, what are the great books, the great videos, the great, you want to know about the great land restoration, you go to Nexus. And it is permeable. That is to say, people can add to it and suggest and modify. And then it connects to climate action systems, which is basically how to make learning pods where people can come together and figure out how to do it in their neighborhood or their school or their classroom or the city. And it connects to what Damon Gameau is doing in 2040 in Australia, which is the Regenerators Network. And so we're creating a kind of a website that's permeable, that is connecting to thousands of other organizations in the world. And what we're saying is that this is an emergent phenomenon, regeneration. We're not announcing it. We're not leading it. We're not the head of it at all. We're saying, here, this is your window in to this extraordinary change which we're seeing in humanity right now around the world.
Yeah. One of the things that struck me, I think it was in the introduction, and here we are at this climate tech conference, the closing day, the closing minutes of this event, and you said that the ultimate power to change the world does not reside in technologies. Explain.
No, it resides in imagination and the human heart and creativity. But then you look at the technologies that count right now, pull the string on that flower bag. Where do they come from? They didn't come, de novo, out of nowhere. They came from usually a person who had an idea, had a vision, who had, I would say, an unreasonable goal. And well, why can't we? Or can we make, you look at what's Steisel, who invented really the wind turbine that's used today, created, created Vestas, the largest wind turbine company in the world. He's creating floating wind turbines that can be cost competitive with land-based wind turbines. How do you do that? That's technology. But you have to have somebody like Steisel who says, why not? Let's do it. He's in the North Sea. It's easier to do it there. He's doing it for the Pacific Ocean and Atlantic as well. And so you can't separate technology from intent and from imagination and creativity, And so what I would say is that when you look at the technologies, you go back and somebody had a dream. And the thing is, if we have reasonable goals, they're reasonable because we know how to do them. We're in a situation where no one knows exactly how to get to where we need to go as a civilization, okay? And so we need unreasonable goals. And the beauty about technology is that there is a dreamer. They're dreamers and saying, why not? Let me try. And a lot of them will fail, no question about it. But in that, when you do an unreasonable goal, what happens is you enliven innovation, creativity, and that's what we need, and that's what's happening in technology.
So what do you think the takeaway is for the technologists, the innovators, the venture capitalists, in how they might be thinking differently about what they've been doing? Because venture capital today is not that different than it was 20, 30 years ago. And the path that a company takes and the way that entrepreneurs present what they do. Should they be thinking differently in a world of regeneration?
Yes, they should, and only in the sense that, technology has been sort of considered bright, shiny objects, and new and affordable and effective. But if you look at regenerative agriculture, you look two directions. Look to the past. Farmers of 40 Centuries was a seminal book for me, and it was about how farm fertility was maintained in China, Korea, and Japan for 40 centuries. That's regenerative agriculture. At the same time, what you see in regenerative agriculture right now is individual farmers who are innovating, and I would say in ways that are imaginative, and they have technology now too, and measurement and metrics and things that tools they never had before. And so I would say regenerative agriculture is also an emerging technology, and it's burgeoning, and it's just as complicated, if not more so, than any bright shiny object, including your iPhone, because you're dealing with life, extraordinary amount of complicated interrelationships, in the soil. It's a community. And when you're standing on, 10 square feet of soil, you're standing on trillions of organisms, most of which have not been identified, in interactions which probably be never identified. And yet, that farmer, she or he, actually is starting to understand dynamics between how to create a healthier soil, which creates a healthier plant, which creates nutrient density, which creates healthier people, and I can go on and so forth. That is also climate tech.
Well, let's get to the healthier people part of this, because social equity, we all know, it's not an argument anymore, needs to be at the table. It needs to be at the center of all this. How does that fit in to a regenerative world?
Very much so, because if you look at the solutions, and I said Nexus will be the largest listing and network of solutions and how to do them. Okay. But if you surmise, if you imagine there isn't a climate scientist alive, and climatology wasn't even invented as a science, and that we were clueless as to extreme weather, which is Hurricane Ida, well, that was a bad one, but hurricanes happen. That's all there was to it. Let's fix it up, let's clean up, let's help people. You would want to do every single one of these solutions because they have so many cascading benefits. And the thing is about poverty, 4.3 billion people are poor, at least, by the way. More than that are challenged every day. They do not care about future existential threat. They can't. They care about current existential threat. They wake up with that in the morning. Food security as a whole, education, warmth, clothing, jobs. That's their daily existence, okay? And so we have to understand that poverty doesn't want to be fixed by privileged people. And also, it wants to fix itself. And the solutions to reversing global warming are actually tools. We want to create the conditions for self-organization in the world. It's what everything does. You see, look out your window, look at nature. Everything creates the conditions for self-organization. Life creates the conditions for life. It happens in our body, it happens in nature. So really we're talking about regeneration is creating those conditions for the world as a whole.
Well, you sort of led into the next question, which is that if regeneration becomes a movement, what would that look like?
It would look like a movement that has no leader, that had no founder, that had no charismatic white male vertebrate. Thank God. They've had their say for the last 2,500 years, and we're in a mess now. So we'll put that one aside as a possibility. And it looks like something that has no locus. You can't find the center of it. And it's like, what's the center of your body? Who's organizing your body? It better not be you, and it better not be the Republican Party. The same, your body is self-organizing. And so a regenerative movement will come. And I think the climate/regenerative movement will be the largest movement on Earth that we've ever seen on Earth. And there's a reason for it, and it's called weather. And the fact is climate is moving from a concept to experience. And the concept, 1.5C, decarbonization, carbon neutral, negative emissions, all this jargon and blah, blah, in the climate, like, what do they call it, club.
The bubble, yeah.
The bubble, meant nothing, and 99% of the people on Earth right now are disengaged and don't do anything about climate. How do we do that? We did it by being in a bubble and expecting them to understand jargon, acronyms, and they're not interested. They're people, they're human beings. And so it's really, regeneration really goes to human need, to the innate qualities of being a human being. And that's why I feel like it'll be the largest movement on Earth.
And what are you doing to foment that?
Just trying to facilitate it, trying to help, trying to serve. I say, look, we're being homeschooled by the planet.
And the question is, what's the lesson we're learning?
To be in alignment with life in everything we do, think, feel, take, buy, make, everything. That's the lesson. That's lesson number one. There's some more lesson plans too about kindness and generosity and compassion. But we're being homeschooled, and it's our lesson to take or not. It's like an offering to us as opposed to a curse.
Well, I think part of that lesson is how much we really need the power of partnerships, the power of collaboration. And I certainly got that from the book, is how much we can all do when we work together.
Absolutely. The very foundation of regeneration is cooperation, support, and collaboration. What it means is together, there's no question, together we can change the world.
Yo, Paul, I cannot agree with you more. Did not mean to scare you. What's up, man?
Hey, man.
You guys,
what are you doing here?
This is your keynote, right? I just did my keynote. This is freaking crazy. Well, Paul, first of all, like I've been reading your book, right? About how you're talking about, bringing humans together, working with nature, collaborating. And then I've been watching what you do. I'm a fan of how you bring businesses and the governments together and leaders together. And I know that we all kind of have to come together and be like I say, always the outlet, right? Like, taking an action to make this happen. I've been working on the song.
Oh, really?
Theme song, kind of, sort of, for the region.
Really?
Yeah. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
Hear it, yeah.
It kind of goes like this, we're just kind of vibing. We can change the world.
Oh, man. Okay. More.
You guys sing it, bro. Sing it with me, dog.
right.
What's up?
Okay.
We can change the world.
Oh, yeah. Dude, you guys sound great. Yo, that's good.
Well, there's only one singer here, but this.
Yeah, all right, you guys are. Okay, shoot, we're missing something, though. We're missing something. Yeah, I mean, we're just three dudes, we probably need like that, like a strong female leader, like a voice, right. That just could kind of give us what we're missing. Like maybe someone, we really need to, who do we know that can sing and then also, wants to change the world? Like that's the...
You guys, what is up?
Yo,
Shauna.
What are you guys doing here?
What's up,
You
Kurt?
live, Paul?
what I'm saying? How you
Joel?
doing?
What are you guys
Dang.
up to?
I mean,
We're just singing.
working on something.
Yeah.
You're working on something.
Song.
Go on.
Not just singing.
Well,
We're changing the world.
Yeah.
These guys are
Okay,
being
you're
legends.
singing and changing the world. I am definitely down.
Okay,
Bring it.
you want to kind of, okay, so this is great. Kind of got these words going on, right? And it's just like a little rhythm, We can change the world.
Okay,
Can you
Paul.
do it? Can you do it?
Yeah. I mean, I can give it a try. All right, something like, we can change the world. Like that?
Something like
Like that?
yeah, we were missing that.
Okay.
Dang. Girl, you can sing. That's that strong
So what are we gonna do?
female.
We're gonna do it together?
mean,
We're
yeah,
talking
of
about
course.
changing the world together.
Yo, let's do it to all of us.
All right.
Like, if we can just, this is awesome. You want to give us a countdown? Let's
Okay.
just see what...
1, 2, 3.
Teachers, leaders, dreamers, let's go. They always take the right away. Leave the bill and make you pay. We can change the world. Is that a lie they told us? We can change the world. We'll shine a light back on us. We can change the world. So we got to come together now. Got to come together now. Got to come together now. See, I don't like it any more than you do. But in your ignorance, that bliss is void. So it's about time, be humble and realize that we are one and the same, unique and one of a kind.
I am in for a livable future for all.
I'm in for exploring, sustaining, and protecting life on Earth and other planets by mapping the ocean.
I'm in for climate optimism.
I'm in for accelerating clean energy solutions that benefit all communities.
I am in for a circular economy.
Leave the bill and make you pay. We can change the world. Is that a lie they told us? We can change the world. We'll shine a light back on us. We can change the world. So we got to come together now. We got to come together now.
I'm in for bringing the world back to life because it brings us back to life.
I am in for emotionally intelligent leadership on climate.
I am in for a just transition and for a world that prioritizes compassion and equity.
I am in for creating transformation and transforming our energy system into one that is just.
I'm in for climate justice.
I'm in for investing in Indigenous communities to grow their energy independence.
I'm in my garden, my farm, and I'm in, guys, for urban farming, for sustainability, and of course, for renewable energy.
I'm in it for the future. 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 I'm in it for the future.
We we've got to come together through the wind and stormy weather. Oh, we've got to come together.